All right, what's up YouTube? Basically what I'm gonna be doing today is I'm gonna be showing you how to IGL on Mirage. Just basic IGL stuff. This would be good to have a starting point when you are creating a team. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go over the basics of Mirage. You will not, I'm gonna tell you right now, you are not going to reinvent Mirage if you think you have a more aggressive or a more passive team. That is not how this map works. That is not how any map works. Basically, there are certain truths to every map. There are certain rules you have to follow to play every map to its highest percentage, which at a high level, that is pretty much what you're doing, is you're just trying to play maps at the highest percentage. So take mid, for example. The CT's goal on Mirage is to have a good defense on mid or A, because you're not going to be able to have a good defense on both, or else your numbers will be spread too thin, or you won't be playing someone B and you'll rather be playing 3 on mid or 2 on A. And the reason why you want mid or you want A is because if you have mid, then you know that you can safely retake A and you won't get flanked. And if you have A, then you can hold the bomb site, they can't plant, they have to plant to win, etc., etc. Yeah, so this general rule for CT sides, pretty much every single pro team follows. And the reason why I mentioned that sometimes they won't play a B player is because in the pro scene, it's fairly common, or at least more common than other maps, that teams won't play a player at B. And the reason for this is because going B kind of sucks. It does suck. You have to cross this angle that there could be an op on. You have to cross this angle there could be an op on. You know, you have to get out of apartments, and to be able to get out of here, you're going through a hallway. It can get mollied, it can get naded, it can get smoked. It's a bad place to go if they know you're going there. So because of that, what teams will do on their CT sides is the B player will come out here, go molly upper B, or he'll throw his normal, like, his starting utility that he'll normally throw, and then he'll shift up cat. And the B player, or it will be the cat player, one of the two, will actually become the cat player for the rest of the round, and they won't play anyone B. So when you see this happen in pro matches, they'll usually try to get into ladder, or they'll play around this area so they can't get spotted from apps, because there is no one holding apartments. And then let's say you have enough info that the T's have not taken mid. This cat player can shift up cat, whoever started a window with the op, or whoever was con, or whoever started in this general area of the map, can now rotate towards B and pick up halls. Now you have a guy up cat. So this guy can go into like ladder room or something. He can hold for window boost, because holding for window boost is extremely important when you're not playing on mid. And then you can play 3 towards A defense. And like I was saying earlier, if you have 3 towards A, you can hold the bomb site. If you have a guy in ladder, he can communicate if they're going up con, if they're doing mid control, things like that. And then you have one guy at B. And this is another scenario I've talked about in YouTube shorts before, is if you are a solo site anchor on A or B, and you don't have help from either bodies, which means basically players being around you, or flashes, smokes, all that stuff, you need to play retake, or you need to get 2 kills. Those are your only 2 options as a site anchor to have a successful round. And the reason for this is if you don't get 2 kills, and you die, like let's say you die on site and you die fairly quick, right? That means that because none of your players were near you, they won't be able to get to site quick enough to deny like the T's taking control, right? So let's say you're a B anchor and you're jump spotting, right? You're jump spotting. Oh, you spot people, you drop a smoke, you play around it. Let's say you get spammed through your smoke, or you die before the smoke pops, right? Because there's no rotate, the T's can now have all of sight and even push to market door. They can push up cat to get right? And this is a very, very hard scenario to retake from the CTs. So this is why the site anchor, if you're jump spotting B and you're alone, that's why you'll see players, they'll jump spot, oh, saw someone, drop smoke, run away. And they'll just run to market door and they'll run away and they'll hide. And the reason why they do this is because everyone else can rotate in, and now you have, you know, a 3, a 4, or 5-man retake, and you have market control. And this is the whole concept behind what being an anchor is you're trying to control areas of the map, large areas of the map, and it doesn't, controlling them does not mean that you have to have them. It means you have to be aware of what can happen in those areas of the map that you're controlling, right? Yeah, basically, you don't need to be on site to know that the T's are out apps and they're in bench, or they are planting, right? You don't need to be in site to know that information. Same thing goes for A. That's why you'll see a lot of pro players jump spot. They'll jump spot, cool, drop a smoke, live. They just live, and then they fall back, right? And they're not trying to play for kills. They're not trying to, you know, do anything crazy. They're slightly delaying the site execute because now there's a one-way smoke that the T's have to deal with at CT. but they're just feeding information. If you ever see a pro match and you see an anchor jump spotting and he runs away to spawn, you will pretty much never see his mouth stop moving. He will always be like, yeah, they're out A. They just flashed. They just mollied. You know, they could plant. Let's retake from spawn. They're saying all these useful communications. And that is consistent with almost every single pro team's A anchor. That is consistent with almost every single pro team's B anchor. If the T's decide to go B, the anchor will always be feeding information to the rotates, so the rotates can get a good picture on what's going on. And then you make a retake. So that's the site anchors. Now we want to talk about rotates. So basically the con player's job is to slow down mid control in a way that makes it look like the CTs could be fighting it, right? And like I was saying earlier, the CTs need to play for A or they need to play for mid. So basically by making it look like you're fighting for mid, you're confusing the Ts. A lot of T defaults at a high level, and this is another thing about calling on T side. And this is part of the reason why I've gone into the CT side first, is because to be able to call a good T side, you want to understand the CT side as much as you can. So a lot of the goals of T side Mirage is you're just trying to figure out where the CTs are. You're just trying to figure out, are they playing on mid? Are they playing on A? Do they have a guy pushed up or B? Are they playing a person in ladder? All these little details will help you read the CT setups and then make a good end round call. And that's all that calling is. On a default, all you're trying to do is figure out what the CTs are doing and how you're supposed to play around it, right? So let's say, as the con player for CT, you throw this bottom con smoke, which is fairly common right now, because this con smoke allows you to run out underpass, peek underpass. It allows you to like play around here, which is kind of hard to deal with it if you're T. So let's say you throw this bottom con smoke, you come out, and you molly box, you run back away into con. It's a bad box molly, but you get it. Now, if the Ts are playing outside of mid, the Ts will now say, oh, shoot, they mollied box. Let's say you throw a flash as well. Your teammate from A throws a flash over mid. Your cat player throws a flash as well. They mollied box. They flashed mid twice. I think the CTs are playing on mid. This is how you mess up a T side call, right? If I'm the IGL on T side, and I hear my mid player screaming for their life like the CTs are playing on mid, I'm probably going to say go A, or if we're towards B, I'm going to say let's speed up on B, right? And this is how you confuse lower level teams. You basically fake the control you're playing for on CT side, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So at a higher level, if I'm a T side caller and my teammates, and at a higher level, again, your mid player, because you are at a higher level, should be able to recognize if it's a fake mid control, if it is a real mid control, everything that comes with that. If I'm at a higher level and let's say my mid player isn't the best, and I know he will get scared by a lot of util and all this stuff, I'm not going to speed up into A or B immediately, because I know that it is extremely common in high-level Counter-Strike to fake mid control. That's why over the last like 2 years, you've seen a lot of teams have just started mollying box on their CT side on default, right? A lot of window players, when they get smoked window, they'll just come over here, they'll molly box. And the reason this is to try and confuse the Ts, right? If the Ts don't smoke this box molly and no one crosses to Delpan, right? Let's say you're, you know, you have a guy like Con and he doesn't hear anyone like swing to Delpan, or your cat player gets up cat and he doesn't see anyone cross to Delpan, then you know that the Ts probably don't have mid control. So as CTs, that means because they don't have mid, either you want to take mid and play on mid, and you basically play for a late take from the Ts, or you play on A site, because if the Ts aren't mid, the likelihood they're towards A is a lot higher. And this is, again, what I was talking about earlier with percentages. A lot of high-level Counter-Strike is just percentages. It's just, if they're not here, then they're probably there. And if they're not there, they're probably here, right? But yeah, that's basically like, that's Mirage from like a CT side perspective. Now, if we're talking about from T side perspective, the A in the mid concept is what you call a map theory. B doesn't necessarily follow, it isn't extremely important in the Mirage map theory. It is to a certain extent, but if you look at pro matches and everything, teams usually, unless it's anti-strat or something, the only times they go B on gun rounds is if they split cat, if they split B, let's say they send, you know, 2 upper B, 3 up cat, or 1 upper B, 4 up cat. They'll either do that or they will pop B on like a pistol round, right? Rarely do teams do outright B executes. And again, that's because coming out B apps kind of sucks, right? You're stuck in a tunnel. If they know you're coming, you're screwed. That's why B doesn't really factor in as much as A and mid, because you can do a lot more with A, you can do a lot more with mid, and you can also play with rotates a lot more because, again, with B, you generally have one B anchor and your cat player goes up cat, right? So B is generally less defended than A. So yeah, B is generally less defended than A, but the reason why that is because B sucks, and because B sucks, then you want to try and work mid and A and rotate as much as you can. So as an IGL, and I'll get, this is the T side part of it, as an IGL, what you want to do is, on your default, you want to figure out what the CTs are doing, and to do that, you will default. Now, you'll see teams running these kind of defaults where they'll basically smoke top mid, or they'll smoke window, hold up, or they'll smoke window. Basically, what this allows is if the CTs are going to fight on mid, they're going to have to molly box, and they're going to have to run up mid to be able to fully clear mid, right? Because this smoke is so wide, you can kind of sit in the open here. Sometimes people will nade it. But by the time this molly fades, you know, you can't be seen from mid valley with the smoke. So basically what this smoke does is, from the T's perspective, if the CTs play in valley, it doesn't matter. If they molly box, it doesn't matter. You can still go out mid late. So this forces the CTs to basically run up mid and full fight for mid, and that gives you a lot more information. And again, the whole point of a default is you're trying to get information on what the CTs are doing. I just aim locked. I don't know what that was. But yeah, so the most standard default you'll see in Pro CS is generally like a top mid smoke or a window smoke, maybe 1 or 2 mid flashes, and then you'll see 2 people sit out top mid and 2 people sit outside underpass. Now what they'll do is they'll sit here for a little bit until the IGL will call when they want to take mid, and then when they want to take mid, that's when the underpasses people will start working. And it will generally be after the first wave of utility from the T's has stopped, because that allows the CTs time to retake, which again gives you more time to get information on what the CTs are doing. And if the CTs retake mid and you have 2 outside mid, 2 underpass, the CTs will take mid and they'll say, yo, mid is clear, this is great. Little do they know, you're about to take it after they take it. So basically, after they take mid, or after the mid smokes fade, you give them a little bit of time for the CTs to retake mid and get a little more information in mid. And then if your caller, if your IGL says, yo, let's walk up underpass, or let's start taking mid, that's when these guys will start coming up underpass. And you want to make sure the underpass guys go out underpass at the same time as the top mid guys. And the reason you do this is because, let's say when you retake mid, you want to do a window smoke, and you'll have the underpass guys smoke top con, is you'll send 2 towards top mid. These guys will get ready to go. The smoke pops, so it gives the CTs a bit of a warning, but that's okay because you have 4 people there. And the underpass guys will come up, they'll throw some flash like this, or like this, or the top mid guys will flash con for them. That was a bad flash, but basically the underpass guys will come out mid at the same time as the top mid guys. This flash will blind the con opper. If there's anyone off cat, the top mid guys will trade them. And if there's anyone who is in mid valley looking at top mid or underpass, they'll just get crunched by the top mid guy and the underpass guy. And this is how you'll see teams at a high level structure their mid takes. It will vary. I think teams are doing this smoke more than a top con smoke now, just because CS2, the smoke covers a lot more area than it did in CSGO. But generally, this is how you'll see teams retake mid. Now, once you have this information that the CTs aren't playing on mid and you're on T side, now you have to decide what you're going to do with the rest of the round. So if you think as an IGL that there's going to be 3 people towards A, and generally how that looks is you'll have 1 guy in sight, 1 guy spawn or stair, and then 1 guy window or jungle. This means that the B rotate will be slow, and if there's a guy up cat, he's generally going to be isolated because teams will generally not leave B unattended to. So what you can call in this situation, if you know that there's 3A, and you know that there's only 2 towards B, and the B guys might be on separate islands, is with this con smoke, or with a resmoke on con, and let's say a molly into window, you can now split B. And this is how teams will generally go towards B, is after a mid default or a slow mid default, they'll split up cat, and they'll just take B site. The reason for this is because teams want to play on A, or they want to play on mid. Once you clear mid, you know they're generally going to be towards A, which means the rotates will be slow and you can go up cat. One of the top mid guys, or the underpass guys, or the A lurk, any one of those 3 people can come back upper B. They can smoke market window for you. One of the other mid guys can flash cat. And now you have a decent B split going on, right? And you have like 3 or 4 people coming up cat, 2 people coming up upper B with some flashes. Some good flashes for upper B are these flashes, and I'll throw it as a nade so that you can see where it pops. Basically, you throw it over there like that, and it pops up here. So basically what this will do is this will blind anyone on this angle, it will blind anyone on this angle, it will blind anyone back sights, it will blind anyone bench, and it won't blind any of your cat players because it pops above this building. So you can throw 2 of these flashes as your teammates are scaling up cat, and there's actually a pretty high percentage that you'll be able to take the site with this. And again, this is generally how you'll see teams take B. So let's say we're going to go towards A and we want to go towards A off of this default, right? Let's say we have a read that maybe the opper is towards B. You don't want to run up cat because it's a long range fight against an op. So what you'll end up doing is, let's say you smoke cat instead of connector, right? You'll still get the molly down on window. And now you have the A lurk, because again, there's only 2 top mid, 2 underpass, so there should be an A lurk. If he's ramp, he can flash jungle for you like this. If he's palace, he can flash jungle for you like this after he like kind of spots across. And what that flash does is, remember how I said that if there's 3 towards A, it's generally going to be 1 stair or CT, 1 in sight, and 1 in jungle. Now, if you molly window and you smoke cat, this window guy is going to come around and be like, holy crap, they're going con. Oh my god. And then he'll come over here and eat this flash. He might be able to see it from over here, but that's okay, because, again, you should be able to trade out on this guy if you're going 3 people up connector or 4 people up connector. And you trade out on this guy, now there's only 2 people on A. Now, if there's only 2 people on A, again, like I said, either he's going to be in the stair cubby or it's going to be in sight or spawn. Now, because of this, they're on 2 separate islands. As the con player, you can also flash for your palace player, right? You can throw this flash, which pops in front of palace right here. This guy can fight spawn, and because this guy flashed here, the A players know that this guy's in palace, so one's probably going to be holding him. Now you can flash for him, and he can get this free kill, and after he gets that free kill, you guys scale up. This guy is in palace. You can trade out on the under palace guy. Now, this whole system is pretty basic. If we're talking about pro-level teams, pretty much every team is aware of the concept of play for mid or play for A and how to split bomb sites. But for the most part, at a lower level of competition, this is the secret sauce to getting to the next league. I made ECL before I even knew anything about this, and once I made it into ECL and started learning all the map theories on the different maps, that's when I became a much greater caller. And within this system, teams will be able to form their identities, right? How I said at the beginning, if you have an aggressive team or a passive team, you're not going to reinvent how the map is played. It is generally played by the basic same set of rules across the board. But within this construct of a theory, this is how you'll be able to make different ways of creating a default. Maybe you have a lot of aggressive players. Maybe they like to go top mid other than underpass, because underpass, let's say they like the angles better on top mid. Or let's say they like a faster pace kind of game. Then you can do more fast mid controls. You can do more, early round lurks. You can do more 2 people ramp, 2 people palace, lurk out early when you think the CTs are playing on mid. You can do a lot more of these little gimmicky plays or tweaks to a default to tailor to your team's skill set. But for the most part, this is generally going to be the same all across the board. But yeah, basically that's it. This is my first video of its kind where I do kind of like a long form explaining content, and I did IGL most of my career, so I will be putting out more IGL videos in the future. And generally understanding of the game, this will help with if you're even just a player, not even an IGL, you can bring more ideas to the team, all that kind of stuff. But if you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and like and sub. I appreciate all the support, and thank you guys for watching.